Welcome to the World Center of Racing for Week 8 of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. Happy to be here at the Daytona road course. A course you don't often see on an open wheel calendar, but here in iRacing, the Indy Pro 2000s are going to tame it. 3.56 miles, 12 tricky corners. You know, usually we see the big sports car racing here, GT4 racing here. Not these open wheel cars, but it's going to be a fun challenge this week. My name is Jonathan Burke. Alongside me in the production booth is Tyler Maxson. He also provides some of the onboard cameras for the drivers, and other cams provided by TrackCam22 and Istvan Balo. Again, 12 corners around this course, 3.56 miles, and with these long straightaways and banking, there will be plenty of opportunities to get the draft and get moves done going into the corners. A look at our schedule. Like I said, we're going to be on week 8. As you see a man aboard his qualifying attempt, we're going to be on week 8 here, the Daytona road course, the first race of May, and then we head to Laguna Seca next in California, followed by a trip back to Florida for USA, and then a 1-week stay in Europe, Spa-de-Francorchamps, and then finally ending in Barber. So very interesting, very unique and different road courses to end the season. Daytona, big, wide open, where Laguna Seca, very, very limited room for error. You're going to be curious on how the points are shaping up right now. Amadema is currently the current leader, but with some drop weeks and other calculations, there's still some other guys in this race that are going to be in the fight. Christophe Herbigno a little bit further down in the fight, as well as Frank Nguyen and Micheline Green. Not too far behind. Fernando Fernandez, a quiet one this season. Really haven't mentioned him a lot. He's actually 5th in the overall point standings, so good job from the number 16 in this race. We have 21 cars out on track. About 3 minutes have gone by in qualifying, and 4:50 is left to go. So let's see if we can get a look at one of the drivers. And one of the drivers that my producer at least pointed out beforehand is the #1 machine, the 2020 iRacing WRX champion, Johan Harth, has joined us this afternoon. And the list of, besides the championship thing, the list of things goes on and on. He took 2nd place in LMP2 at the Petit Le Mans iRacing, 4th place in the Daytona Prototype at Sebring, as well as in Daytona 24 in 2020. He's a 4-time Rally Cross race winner. He's done some stuff as well for R Factor, and is an Apex Racing Team driver. Hailing from France, he's going to be a tough one to beat. And we saw last time out at Monza, there was another runner-up for the World Rallycross Championship that also put on a lot of a fight. So let's see how Johan does. We're going to ride along Daytona through corners 1 and 2 already. We head to this wide international horseshoe. Much, much wider for these open wheel machines than you see normally for the prototypes and the GTs. We're coming now to probably the trickiest section for the track for these LMP Pros. It's turn 4. If that back end hits that rumble strip, you're going to go around in a hurry. And now turn 5, another place. You can see the understeer and the oversteer. Johan having to work the wheel a lot. Turn 6, late braking on this corner. You want a late apex, get that big run on to Daytona. Turn 1 for the NASCAR machines on the oval. And now we get to see the banking in action and this high speed in action. We're going to go all the way up to 6th gear, probably maxing on the rev limiter before we hit to the bus stop. Last of the late breakers goes Johan into the bus stop chicane. Aggressive on the rumble strips. Those rumble strips newly there after some of the NASCAR drivers had a little bit of adventures in the real life. We go back on board in the driver's seat. Look at the banking. And I should also mention it's 6 a.m. simulated time. The sun not fully up, so we get to see Daytona and the beautiful Florida sunrise. No NASCAR chicane like we have seen for some of the other NASCAR events and other road course events. Max down in the revs, 9,000 as he crosses the line. Let's see where he goes, and he goes first fastest ahead of Delta Sport U4K, Christophe Herbigno, and Dave Mather. And there's Rust Racing Micheline Green making an improvement on his lap time. Again, so let's talk about some of the other drivers in the field as Harth goes around for his second lap. Again, Christoph Herbigno, the Delta Sport U4K driver, had a good outing last week. Hoping to make another good outing here. 9 wins so far in official racing competition. He's going to look to try and capitalize on that. This is the number 4 machine, actually, of Connor Wagner. Delta Sport U4K showing a bunch of different stretching about. Wagner from the Las Vegas area. Put on a good fight with his teammate at Long Beach last week. Looking down the field, Michelin Green, again, a Rust Racing regular for here in the field once again. Will Redford, a standalone regular, the number 5 machine, currently in 7th place. Got 2 TNT racing drivers as Noor Fabio Burchell and Emma Dema in the mix. Frank Newen as well. Fidel Fernandez, already mentioned him this week. Again, 5th in the overall points, doing a fan job. Jordan Pepper, he's been a one on the surface a lot this week in this series, gaining a lot of I rating, safety rating. So he's got himself in a top split, so well done for him. We shall see how he does. As Wagner hints to NASCAR 3 and 4. There's going to be a ton of action at this point. There'll be big draft, and the 6th gear, the problem is you can only make it so long, so you have to see where you max out those revs, and let's see where Wagner goes. He's at 134 right now. This is looking like a strong lap time for Delta Sport U4K. Can he coughed off the pole? No, in fact, he pips his teammate off the front row instead. So it'll be Connor Wagner starting alongside Harth. Herbigno now gets demoted down to 4th. As all but David Deadlott have completed their times, except for Michael Stanley, who's choosing not to qualify. Let's see if we can look at these conditions again. Beautiful aerial shot of Daytona International Speedway. A very cool Florida morning, 17 degrees Celsius, 18 degrees Celsius track temp, a little partly cloudy, a little less humid than you would expect in Florida, just 52%, and a little bit of a breeze here. It might be interesting to see as we now advance the session, and on the track, look at that, fluctuating a little bit right there. Now it goes back down to 18 Celsius, so a little bit of a fluctuation there. And now we head to your starting grid. Johan Harth, the number 1 car from France, lines up P number 1. Connor Wagner from Texas pipped Christoph Herbigno for 2nd, and Herbigno will have to start 3rd. Jeremy Volchop in P4, David Mena in P5, and Michelin Green in P6. Adam Isaacson, he can get very aggressive and very feisty behind the wheel. We saw him come up and down the field in several other weeks this season. He starts P7. Will Redford, another feisty driver, in P8. Fabio Burchell in P9, and Lucas Cortez in P10. Jordan Pepper, I mentioned him getting into the top split today. P11 for the number 19 driver. And then Fidel Fernandez, another guy in 12th position, getting into this split. Shane Burke, P13. Emma Dema, further back than he's expecting probably, down in 14th place. Truman Van Sloot in 15th. Maxime Freda in 16th. Javier Horta in 17th. Frank Newen in 18th. And then finally we land up to the last 3 guys. Conor Melia in 19th. David Deadlott, we've seen him charge through the field, so 20th position, not going to be that much of a tall ask for him. And then Michael Stanley did not qualify, and he'll line up in 21st. So pace car on the back straightaway will not be a full pace lap. We are getting set to go racing here. Again, all 21 cars will take a roar down to turn 1. It's a very, very tricky braking zone. You can see as well all of the wings, all the teams represented. We mentioned the 2 Delta Sport U4K drivers at the front. Rust Racing, Michelin Green, not too far behind. Undercut Racing, well represented. You can see 2 or 3 of their cars in this shot. And the safety car rolls away. So while drivers are away, we'll get set to go racing here through NASCAR's 3 and 4 we go. It's going to be a 2020 iRacing Rallycross champion on the inside, while on the outside, it's an Oklahoma State University graduate, a 11th place Delta Sport U4K driver in Formula 3 action. And then an endurance racing champion behind in Christophe Herbigno. As we round now, pace car will head off to pit road, and we are set to go racing here at Daytona. The green flag is out, and Hart is away, and immediately Herbigno is going to get a jump on his teammate of Wagner to the inside. Goes the Belgian driver. He's going to be the last of the late breakers, and he'll move up into second position. And they funnel down to turn one, and we're clean and good on the start. 2x2 as they go through the air. That's the 11 car spinning around. I believe that was Dave Meneth that has gone spinning around. Thankfully, no one else collected, but there's another car slowing off into the grass. We're going to replay as soon as the action is done. Wagner under fire from Batutam as they head into turn 5. Is the 2 car going to make a dive? Not on this occasion. Delta Sport U4K lines up second and third, but a little bit wide there from Wagner. You better make sure not to open the door. Jeremy Bultomp is going to take a look. Second highest rated driver here. And then they got the aggressive Michelin Green behind that he's not afraid to give Feisting, put a little wheel bang in action early. So now the virtual racing school coach might be taking Connor Wagner to school as we hit to the RaceSpotTV replay and see what happened to Dave Meneth. It was a great starting position for him. And gets on the rumble strips, and unfortunately around goes the 11 machine. He's now down in 21st position. Bill Biltip has had to back out of the fight with Connor Wagner, but the draft should bring him back in. Michelin Green now getting closer and closer. He's up 1 place from the start. Thanks to a little issue with Meneth. Now we get to see at full speed in turn 1 what the braking power and what these feet can do. Wagner a little bit early on the brakes. I think that Bultomp was expecting because he ended up checking up everyone. Back to Adam Isaacson. Johan Harth leading lap 1 against 17 laps here this afternoon. No pit stops or anything, just pure racing. Back in the pack. It's the 15 of Birchall to the inside of Fernel Fernandez. And Fernandez right now looks like fighting for his life. Undercut racing. The 21 and the 12, Ferreira and Deadlot trying to get around the 17 of Gert van der Sloot. Van der Sloot leaving the door open for Ferreira to take. Ferreira not being too aggressive with it so far. Medema, for qualifying down where he did, and Medema has moved up into the 9th position. So good start at least for the 8 car, and good start for TNT. They have both their cars inside the top 10. You're going to see the power of the draft again. Fernandez getting closer and closer and closer. How defensive does Medema get going down into the bus stop? As we look behind, that's the 7 of Cortez, who lost out big in the start side by side with Deadlot. And Dendelot able to win out on that occasion. Ewan as well in the background. A poor starting position for the 9 machine. All the way back in 18. He's managed to get 2 positions though, so don't worry, Frank Newen fans. He will be doing well. As around the outside, here comes Delta Sport U4K and Herbigno taking the lead of the race. And Johan Hart is going to look back to the outside, but is Connor Wagner going to be aggressive on the brakes? And the answer is no, but Hart is going to be extremely aggressive on the brakes. The 2020 WRX champion showing all fight, all grit, all teeth early on in this race. He's going to look to the inside of the International, thinks about it. It's going to be last of the late breakers. Not on this occasion, but Wagner slinging it around the outside. Can he get a run? No. Hart shuts the door. Now Brooks at the VRS racing coach looking to the inside. Power down out of turn 5. So this top 5, it's just a mesh of everything you can see from iRacing. We have Christophe Herbigno, an Ivor Endurance champion, and an endurance go-to for Delta Sport U4K, an IRX racing champion in Johan Harth, Connor Wagner, a Formula 3 representative for the team, and a young trainee of Delta Sport U4K, and then Bultamp Avira's coach, and Mitchell Green, an aggressive Rust racing driver. A very wide array of drivers as Herbaniel took a look to the inside, and back in the field, we're going to have another look to the inside. I believe it's Birchhold trying not to go backwards. Fernandez has gotten back inside the top 10. And now Cortez has gotten around Deadlot and Ferreira, so Undercut Racing, unfortunately, not having a good lap this time around. But who's going to have a good lap? That might be Mitchie Green. He's looking to the outside of Connor Wagner. As Biltip is now getting onto the podium. Is that two machine going to look to the inside? No. We'll go side by side on the right side. 2x2 at the line. They're going to be 2x2, almost 3 wide going into turn 1. And you know, at Daytona, bump drafting is allowed just for NASCARs, but Fernell Fernandez getting as close as he can to the number 15 machine. As Birchhold is in that position, Fernandez around almost into Cortez. How did the 7 machine not get collected is beyond me, but I think he's lost the front tire. Never mind, he has gotten collected. That car has turned, unfortunately, into a tricycle for Cortez. Not a good race for him. He's going to have to get a tow back to pit lane, and Fernell Fernandez as well has gotten towed back. Looks like no damage on the 15 machine. And Vandersloot and Dendelat were able to get through. Let's head to the replay booth. You can see right here, Vandersloot's the inside, slight contact, and then heavy on the brakes for Cortez. Really nothing he could do. That's how we check back out front. An IRX champion versus Christoph Urbaniak. Well, we saw an iRacing WRX champion, which was before IRX was changed the name. Facing it off with Herbaniak at Monza, so I think we're in for another good duel here. Harth to the outside, unfortunately, without that draft and that 6th gear being the way it is, there was nothing for him on that occasion. He might get the lead down at the line, but preferred line going to the Belgian. Preferred braking going to Johan Harth as he's deep on the brakes going into 1. And he's going to stay side by side. Great respectful racing from Herbaniak not to shut the door. Can Christoph get around him? Still to the inside. Harth, unbelievable fight back, and he's going to retain the lead. And now here comes Biltup trying to get to the inside of Herbaniak. Herbaniak shuts the door on that one. And now Harth back to the lead. So Harth has led 2 laps. Herbaniak's led 2 laps. Let's see if the one car can try and put some distance here. If he can get away, these guys might fight amongst themselves. That's this top 5 again. Very diverse lineup of drivers. A very angry group of drivers, unfortunately. Very aggressive early on in this one. We still have 12 laps to go, and already we've changed the lead 2 times. Down to the inside of Herbaniak, into the bus stop, able to get around. It seems like he has the perfect 6th gear. See a little bit of a hop there as they went over the curbing. Upset the balance of the car a little. Harth to the outside. He's looking to get back around. Bultup constantly lurking. Wagner and Mitchell Green have been quiet this lap. Might be just waiting to see if they go through wide. And they do go 3 wide. The VRS racing coach to the outside is about to take these 2 to school. And they're going to go 3 wide across the line. Now he'll lead a lap. 3 different leaders in the past 3 laps. Can he get the braking down? Aggressive under braking. He's going to leave room for Herbaniak on the inside, but is he going to take the lead? Jeremy Biltup is going to go from 3rd to 1st in 1 lap. An amazing drive from the 2 machine. Slices in front of Herbaniak. Herbaniak aggressive to the inside, blocking Harth. And now here comes his teammate to the outside of the IRX champion. Nothing doing on this occasion, and Mitchie and Green just lurking in the background, waiting for a chance to strike. Into turn 5 right now, and Bultup into the lead as we get a replay right here, and this is going to be back in the field. David Dendelat. Not a good day to be named Dave or David, going over those rumble strips at least. As they've gotten 2 of them, and it looks like Will Redford and Mitchie Green have also towed back to the pit lane, and I've just noticed that Wagner's dropped off a decent bit. I'm wondering if Mitchie Green has had an issue, as around the outside, here comes Herbingo into the bus stop. And they'll get Bueltip. It looks like that 3 car is set for straight line speed. And will there be a fight back? And the 2 car lost a little bit of ground in the bus stop. Good move there from Christoph Herbingo. Take the lead. He's now 3/10 in front. And can Harth get around, or is Harth going to be content to sit behind for the moment? Well, I mentioned bump drafting was a viable option here. Not in these cars usually. They're going to gang up on Herbingo to the outside, then goes Bueltip. The French working together to try and take down the Belgian, and the Belgian stands strong. And now Harth back to the inside. He wants second for himself. Good, respectful, clean racing. The 2 pulling back in line for third. Now here comes Connor Wagner. Texas wants to get in on the action, and Texas will get in on the action. Can he put the American flag on the podium? Not on this occasion. Looks like Shane Burke has also had a problem, as well as Maxime Ferreira. So it looks like there's been an attrition rate behind. This big battle up front continues. Through turn 6 we go. Herbingo in the lead, Harth behind, Bueltip in third. Now Wagner doesn't have the threat of Mitchie Green behind, so he can kind of plot out his next moves. And without Mitchie Green here, that's promoted Adam Isaacson to 5th. Will Redford is also down on pit road. Lapped car ahead, I believe that's Maxime Ferreira. Let's see what happens. This is Shane Burke. This is the reason why he is retired from the race. Deep under braking. Into the back of Fabio Berchhold, loses the front wing. And maybe the front suspension as well. So that is day done and dusted for the 10 machine. He's now Bueltip looking for a chance to try and get around both these 2 drivers. There's a lap car ahead, and I believe that is the 21 Undercut Racing machine. The 2 Delta Sport on the outside. Herbingo holding the lead. Harth, this is the first time he's going to be on the inside going into 1 in a while. And Herbingo aggressively denying the inside line. You're an IRX champion. You got to go the long way around. Maybe take the grass routes. And a little bit sideways there out of the corner was for Harth. Is it going to leave an opportunity for Bueltip to get around? No, but the Texas driver of Wagner to the inside. And can Delta Sport U4K get both these guys on the podium? And that's going to be a no. And good respectful racing right there from the 21 getting out of the way. That should be the only lap traffic we see in this race, and I'm wondering what happened to the 21 machine, because he was not even a part of the issue with the 10 and the number 15. So I'm wondering if he just got sideways somewhere, or maybe it was also a victim of the curbing outside of turn 1. They roar out of NASCAR turn 2. Now here comes Harth to the outside of Herbingo again. France attacks Belgium. And into the bus stop chicane. There's really nothing Herbingo can do without that draft. A little bit of dirt kick up right there. Harth showing that IRX skills, taking the lead. And now Bueltip gets a shot at Herbingo. And can he put both Delta Sport U4K drivers behind? And maybe attack his fellow countrymen out front. To the outside, weaving back and forth is hard, trying to break the draft as much as he can, but Herbingo getting this huge run. That 3 machine is great in the draft and great for straight line speed. Bueltip looking to the outside, nothing doing on this occasion. Wagner just looking. There's some other fights in the field if you're looking on a timing screen as well. Pepper, who I mentioned, again, getting into this top split, getting a lot of I-rating and safety rating this week, doing an amazing job right now of holding Amadema at bay. And Deadlot Horta and Stanley in a great scrap right now for 12th and 13th. But our focus remains, of course, on our 4 leaders. They're 1, 2, 3, and 4 in I rating, and they're fighting for positions 1, 2, 3, and 4. looking on board now with the Apex Racing Team machine, looking back at Delta Sport U4K's Christophe Herbigno. And again, the Belgian goes on the offensive inside into the bus stop, and there's really nothing I don't think this one machine can do to defend it. So coming down to that last lap, it might be whoever gets the run out of turn 3 and 4 of NASCAR 3 and 4 might be the winner of this race. As Harth looks back to the outside, Buelltip is going to go around for 3 wide again. Or is he going to help his fellow countrymen out? He is helping his fellow countrymen out in the draft, and here comes Connor Wagner. It's basically Team France on the outside and Team Delta Sport U4K on the inside as they go across the line. 4 road racing drivers doing their best NASCAR impressions as deep under brakes goes Harth. I'm impressed by his braking every single time we go down into turn 1. And Buelltip, the Canada SimSport driver, to the inside. Can he get the Delta Sport U4K driver behind? Good run for Herbigno, but Buelltip will hang tough, and it looks like they're heading to turn 4. With Herbigno having the advantage, but these guys fighting, it's only going to make Harth's lead bigger and bigger. Harth can get out to about 0.6 of a second. He might be safe from the draft on this lap. Back onto the making into NASCAR 1 and 2 as the sun continues to get higher and higher. Racetrack temperature increasing ever so slightly. Temperature behind these drivers' helmets may be increasing ever so slightly. As into the bus stop chicane, it looks like Harth had enough of a lead to hold Herbigno off on this occasion. Back end getting squirrely out of the corner though for the Apex Racing machine. Through NASCAR 3 and 4 we go. Herbigno to the outside looking, and he's maybe even looking to defend more. The Canada SimSport driver Jeremy Buelltip as they head around the line. Herbigno will lead this time around. And aggressive under the brakings this time for the Belgian driver. That's the first time I've seen him outbrake Harth. And Wagner's just waiting for his moment to pounce, and they're out of the pit lane. I believe that's Fernel Fernandez. After repairs due to that earlier accident. Now to the outside, Buelltip looking on Herbigno, not on this occasion. And right now it stands France, Belgium, France, United States. Apex, Delta Sport U4K, Canada, and Apex. We got out of NASCAR 2, down this long back straightaway, back into the bus stop. Is Herbigno going to attack? Not on this occasion. And this is what happened. I mentioned Michigan Green and Will Redford having an issue. So Mitch getting onto the grass a little bit. Oh, and Redford just nowhere to go. And that was a great avoidance driving there by Adam Isaacson, the Scandinavian, scampering away. Yeah, but that number 5 machine really nowhere to go. We join back with our leaders. Delta Sport U4K back to the lead with Herbigno. Leading this time around, but is he going to be late in the brakes to beat Harth? I guess the advantage he has right now, he knows that he can beat him to the line. So Herbigno is content in that second position. As we look back through the field, here's Fabio Berchold with the 17 of Sloot, the Coca-Cola inspired machine, to the inside. And Van der Sloot able to hold that position. There's Fernandez. Well, not Fernandez. I'm assuming that's Javier Horta back in the field with David Dendelot. Dendelot started at the rear of the field in the undercut racing machine, doing a very good job at, well, cutting under some drivers. We join back with our leaders. Single file now for the most part. I think everyone's just kind of collecting themselves, mapping out what exactly to do. We go through NASCAR turn 2, and the 3 machine again, a huge run out of the corner. Is he gonna look to the inside of the bus stop? No, chooses to stay content. And I mentioned this fight a little bit ago. Jordan Pepper and Emmett Dema have been going at it while the leaders have been going at it. And Pepper holding off the current points leader in spectacular fashion. A great job from the 19. As an innocent cone has been murdered in the bus stop, and meanwhile Herbigno looking to try and clear. He's able to clear Johan Hart as they hit to the line. The Frenchman will look back to the outside. He's been the last of the late breakers every single time around, and look at how insanely deep he goes. Unable to attack going back into turn 2, however, they drag race across the line back here. This is another fight, TNT versus the Coke-inspired machine. Can Fabio Berchelt hang on? Not on this occasion. Van der Sloot in 8th. Frank Nguyen, after a bad qualifying effort, looking to climb up through the field, the Canadian driver. Going back with our leaders. Buelltip looking to the outside of Herbigno. That might cost him. Here comes Wagner to the inside. Unfortunately, inside comes the outside, heading into turn 4. Or turn 6, excuse me. As back onto the high banks we go. Down the back straightaway, Johan Hart looks like he's trying to get defensive. Here comes Herbigno to the inside. Herbigno is clear into the bus stop. And Buelltip almost got into the rear end of Johan Hart. Now Hart looking back to the outside. Is he going to be able to make anything stick right here? He has no help at the moment. Buelltip got a bad exit out of the bus stop, but double dose of draft for both Wagner and Buelltip. The 2-car has a huge head of steam. And they might go 3 wide across the line again. Here they come again, 3 wide across the line. Who leads this lap? And at the line, it appeared to be Herbigno, but here comes Connor Wagner. Can he finally get into the podium places? Buelltip has to take evasive action to avoid going 3 wide into turn 1. That's back end coming out. He's drifting through the corner. Just amazing driving from all 4 of these drivers. He cuts back to the outside. Wagner's finally on the podium position after being 4th place for the last 8 laps. And now Hart is going to be under aggressive fire from Herbigno. Where is the Belgian going to strike? Defensive into turn 5. That's the first time I've seen that so far this race. Out of that corner, these cars are squirrely, the tires are going away, the track's heating up, but when it's all said and done, all 4 of these drivers are going to have smiles on their faces. Herbigno, very late apex, trying to get the best run of the corner he can. Now here they come to the bus stop. Hart defending the inside line this time. Wagner choosing to go with his teammate on the outside. Herbigno is able to clear. Delta Sport, Apex Delta Sport, currently the podium. Granada sitting in 4th with Buelltip, and now here comes the 1 again along the outside. They pass by the pit entrance, down the front straightaway. A little bit of a draft help from the teammate there. That's what you call a teammate. Now can Herbigno defend? Hart again really, really late in the brakes. Can he try and get closer to the 3 machine? Not on this occasion. Unfortunately, Wagner has to slop back into line, unable to pounce. Hart looking inside, looking outside. Defensive goes the 4 machine on the 2, and they touch. The Apex machine is off. Hart into the grass, into the International Horseshoe. Does the 3 have damage? Looks like no for Herbigno. Herbigno has no damage as Johan Hart, who was battling for the lead this entire time, now sits in 4th place. He's going to have to play catch-up. 4 seconds off of the battle for the lead. Now Wagner's under fire from Buelltip. Can Buelltip get a run to the inside in turn 6? No, but Herbigno is sideways. Here comes Wagner to the inside. Connor Wagner to the lead. Wagner, the Texas driver, to the lead of this race. He has Jeremy Buelltip in tow. But Herbigno's going to remain tough on the outside. That car is trimmed out and very fast in a straight line, but the Belgian has to concede to the American driver. And here we go, the replay of what happened. Down defensive into the corner, late on the brakes, and just Harth getting a little too close to Herbigno. I think he had enough room on the outside, and I think at the end of the day, Johan might take that one on himself. Get a replay on board. Herbigno getting offensive and just really late in the brakes. 2 going into 1, just not enough room. But don't count him out, because if something happens in these top 3 positions, Hart can still stand on the podium. It's Buelltip and Herbigno side by side into the International Horseshoe. There was already an incident here last lap. Both drivers giving each other plenty of space. Buelltip, I don't think is going to be able to clear heading into 4. He's hanging tough on the outside, though, making life difficult for Herbigno. But now it's a Delta Sport U4K 1-2 at the front. The British-based team with an American and a Belgian behind the wheel. Back on into the banking for the penultimate time. Will Herbigno make an aggressive move on his teammate into the bus stop, or will he be content to ride it out here for now? Herbigno content not to take a look, but he has to know that Buelltip is waiting for an opportunity. They're around NASCAR 3 and 4 for the second to last time. We'll have 1 lap to decide it all, and Buelltip is already trying to make things interesting, looking to the outside. Barney waves the white flag, and we head into turn 1. Almost 3 wide going in the corner. Buelltip late on the brakes, unable to get a move done on Wagner. A little bit of gap from Wagner back to Herbigno. Herbigno's going to have to play defensive on the Frenchman. As we go side by side, this is the battle that has been raging on for quite some time. Fabio Berchtold, Van der Sloot, and Frank Newman on the edge of the top 10. Buelltip looking to the inside, unable to do anything on this occasion. Herbigno holds in second for now. And again, the pole sitter and IRX Rate 2020 champion, Johan Harth, is still lurking in 4th place. Anything happens between these 3 drivers, God forbid Harth can somehow take out a win or even a podium. As now teammates side by side into NASCAR turn 2. We'll get 1 final crack at the bus stop. Wagner, no help from behind. Buelltip choosing instead to follow Christophe Herbigno. Herbigno now the leader. The Belgian will stand on top coming out of the bus stop. Can Wagner do anything on his teammate at the line? Or Jeremy Buelltip plays spoiler in the Delta Sport U4K 1-2. Closing and closing and closing. It'll be a drag race to the line. There's only one way to decide a Daytona race, and that is a drag race to the line. Wagner looks to the outside. Where will Buelltip go? He'll be content riding behind Herbigno to the line. Herbigno versus his teammate. And the Belgian holds on to win versus his teammate. Delta Sport U4K 1-2. And Medema has appeared to have a mistake, and all of a sudden he's getting caught by his teammate of Berchtold. They're going to race to the line as well. Medema holds on to 7th, Berchtold to 8th, Van der Sloot in 9th. Frank Newman has to settle for 10th. And the rest of the field will cycle on through. Conor Melia in 11th, Javier Horta not too far behind, Michael Stanley and Dave Menef, who had an excellent recovery drive, at least to get to 14th, but the number 11, tough luck on the first lap. Now we get to see those official results. So it is Delta Sport U4K 1 and 2 on the top steps of the podium. An amazing race, really, from all four of those drivers. Unfortunately for Johan Hart, he was fighting hard for the lead. Just that slight contact in International Horseshoe. Nothing he could do. And here is the final standings. A Belgian stands on top, and Christophe Herbignon, and Connor Wagner from Texas stands P2. Delta Sport U4K 1-2. The VRS coach and Cadota Racing member Jeremy Builtup from France rounds out the podium. Johan Hart, the pole sitter, led the most laps, but unfortunately for the number 1 machine in Apex Racing, it was not meant to be. Adam Isaacson in P5. Jordan Pepper, an amazing run for him, able to hold off Ann Medema at the end, gets P6. Medema had a bit of a mistake, ends up down in 7th. Fabio Berchtold in 8th. Vandersloot having an aggressive fight with Berchtold, ends up P9. And Frank Nguyen, after qualifying down the order in 18th, gets in the top 10. Good run for him. Conor Melia in 11th. Javier Horta in 12th. Michael Stanley in P13. It's David Menef and David Dendelot, two guys that were caught out by that banking and the rumble strips in turn 2, 14th and 15th. Next in Ferreira went down 1 lap for Undercut Racing in 16th. Lucas Cortez had contact going into the International Horseshoe. He lines up 17th. Fidel Fernandez was a victim of that contact in 18th. Shane P. Burke got in the back of Fabio Berchtold, losing the front wing and the suspension in 19th. Bud Redford nowhere to go, unfortunately, for the British driver. He had no choice but to plow into the last man on the list when we cycled down, and that will be Mitch Ian Green from Pennsylvania, all the way down in 21st. So the World Center of Racing, never disappointing in any form of motorsport, whether it be the sports cars, whether it be NASCAR, or whether it be here in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. We saw so many lead changes, so many aggressive fights, and 4 different guys at one point had the lead. At the end of the day, it is Delta Sport U4K's Christophe Herbignon standing on top. And only more exciting things to come. We're now 2/3 of the way through the season. We're going to look at that schedule. Laguna Seca in California is next. Unlike Daytona, it's a bit tighter, a bit more banking, a bit more natural elevation to that track. So it should be just as exciting as we see here. And then our final oval is USA Speedway, followed by 2 races at Spa-Francorchamps, and then to find out the race at Barber. Very entertaining, very interesting races to go, and we still have a championship to decide as well. A reminder for all of you watching, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch for all sorts of racing action. We're in the month of May now, so that means there's IndyCar action. The IndyCar Fixed is going to be on in about 2 weeks' time, then an IndyCar Open a week after that, so stick around for that, and always stick around for the iRacing Indy Pro 2000 series every Friday. And don't forget about the broadcast that goes on simultaneously this prime time with the GT4 class and with the IMSA Pro WeatherTech Challenge. They're at Long Beach. They're just wrapping up as well. Be sure to check out that one after this one wraps up. But for myself, for my producer Tyler Maxton, Instagram Ballon Track Cams 22, we say so long from the World Center of Racing, and congratulations to Christophe Herbignon and Delta Sport U4K.